Everything runs through
Second tortillas.
Everything runs through
Second tortillas.
Well, look at that, guys. We finally have an intro. Welcome to Second Tortillas. I'm your host, Dylan, and with me today is Troy and Dallas. Troy, how are we doing?
Man, I'm doing great. How are you today?
Oh, fantastic. We're going to have some fun today. Dallas, how are you doing?
Good. Everybody, please be nice about that clip. That took me like 35 minutes to whip up on the computer. So please be nice in the comments.
We're getting slightly more efficient, quicker. But hey, we're still working on it. We'll get better and better as time goes. But guys, we got a fun one today. We'll start it though. There's been some big transfer portal news since we've last talked. I'll go ahead and start with you, Troy. There's a few names since our last podcast that have joined. So we have Robert Jennings now in the portal, Pop Isaacs in the portal, and then Damarian Williams, which we kind of all saw that one coming. But Troy, what are your thoughts on these three joining the transfer portal?
With Damarian, I mean, nothing much there. He didn't really play much to begin with, so we'll see what he can become. He'll need some more time to develop, so I don't think he was a ready product anyway for us. Maybe we'll hear about him more down the line at another school. But for the other two, we're more established in the rotation, and so I'll start with Jennings. I do think that he'll find a role and he'll continue to develop. He is someone that I would like to have kept because I do think he'll continue to become more confident and more aggressive, and disappointed we could not keep him because I think he'll continue to grow. And then with Isaacs, I just think that's an interesting one. He had a down year, right? Obviously he put up points, but relative to the shooting percentage, you can chalk it up to injuries, just a volume that he had. There were times when we were really frustrated watching with him. There was times he was one of the top players in the Big 12. And so you'd hate to lose the max potential on that, but you also wonder how he fits probably into the lineup going forward. And I think I like, Williams as the primary guard more, let him to develop. And maybe if, Pop could have been more of a slasher. And I wonder if maybe that was some of the decisions that needed to be made relative to the offense. Obviously, you can make it work with both of them, but I'm sure there's more behind the scenes that went on. I don't know if it was a mutual agreement or what happened.
Yeah, there's always a lot that kind of goes on behind the scenes that we don't really know. But I'll throw it over to you, Dallas. What do you think? There's kind of a lot of production there, mainly from two of them. One of them didn't really do anything at all. That's leaving the team. How do you feel about this?
Yeah, it's always mixed emotions when you've got guys leaving the program. I really liked the way Jennings came on later in the year. I think it just comes down to he doesn't really have like a role that you could see him excelling on like a Big 12 championship caliber team. I think he obviously can't be your starting five man, even though we had to do that for a lot of the year with Warren Washington out. And if he's at the 4, I think he'd be heavily dependent on a center who could maybe shoot the ball. I think he could maybe enter into the rotation that way. But I think his ceiling at Tech with what they want to do would probably just be a backup big man who comes off the bench, gives you good minutes. But it probably came down to, in these post-season interviews that the coaching staff kind of explained that to him or something along those lines. And he said, I think I'm good enough to go start somewhere. So wish him the best of luck. As far as Pop, I think it was also a similar thing. Like, we gave you the reins to the offense. You shot as much as anybody has shot the ball in Tech history, and it wasn't efficient. It was really inefficient, and at times I think cost you some games. He won you some games, more so at the beginning of the year, but I just think that he was probably going to be asked to play off the ball more like he did in his first year as a freshman, where he was more efficient. And I think he definitely wants to be, the guy. So I mean, I think they're both definitely in Jennings' case. I think they're both upgradable. I think Pop, even if you bring in a guy who's not going to score as much, I think as long as he's more efficient and fits into a role better than Pop did, that the team as a whole can improve. So nothing to freak out about. I know there were some reactions on Twitter that the sky is falling. It's every year. Everybody freaks out when we have people leave the program, and with guys like a Terrence Shannon and McCullough going on to do great things at other programs. I get it, but we've also year after year improved the team through the transfer portal. So I think that'll be the case this coming year.
Yeah, the transfer portal does offer great opportunities to improve the team, especially, yes, you are losing a lot of your production, especially in a very talented player in Pop. But to your point, does it really fit what we want to do and what we want to do going forward? So I'm sure we'll see Pop go somewhere, start next year, and put up a lot of points, put up probably pretty big numbers. But can we replace him with something that's more in the scheme of what we want to do? So I'm glad that you kind of brought up those points. Troy, I want to throw it over to you. You guys have been talking about, I know, like exit interviews, end of the year. Is it a mutual thing or what? Do you feel like, because it was not too long ago that Pop said he's going to be back next year. He said he was going to return. Do you feel this was a mutual decision, or do you feel maybe Pop wanted to leave, or maybe Coach Gass had different ideas?
It's tough to say. I feel like it had to have been something with the coaching staff. He seemed, I think, more towards himself towards the end of the year, and maybe not on the scoring front. But there were times where I just felt he didn't seem happy. And I know he went through a lot. He's going through a lot right now. But I definitely think maybe some of that could have played into a factor. Uh, if it's getting closer to the West Coast or whatever that may be. Um, Another thing that comes to mind is you think about the different guys that we had in the rotation with a McMillan coming off the bench. If Williams is the guy you want at guard, you have another guy that will shoot 40% from three, just waiting to get more minutes. And then Kerwin Walton, too. I know he started a little bit, but you have plenty of ways to space the floor. And it wasn't something we were short of, right? Even Williams can shoot the three really well. I mean, you still have three guys that shoot the ball can shoot north of 40% from the 3-point line. And I think Walton and Williams did this past year. And so the last piece too is with Cambridge coming back, you have a slasher coming back as well, someone that can get to the basket. Life comes at you fast. I'd like to take a moment and tell you I was wrong. Moments after we finished filming this Tech and Tortilla talk, Devin Cambridge entered the portal. It strikes again. Well, I know the Red Raiders will do what they need to in the portal. I was the only one that mentioned Cambridge being a key part into next season's team. Life comes at you fast. Let's see what happens in the portal. And so really you just kind of trade Isaacs for McMillan, who shoots probably better than him, and Cambridge, who is probably bigger, stronger presence going to the hoop. And sure, we'll add guys from the portal, but you wonder how you can facilitate more with those players and maybe spread the ball out more and not be dependent on if Pop has a good game or not.
Yeah, and we've talked about all year the emergence of Williams as the year goes along. Dallas, this presents a pretty good chance for him to really take over leadership on this team, right?
Yeah, I mean it's got to be his team, next year. I would think that. I really like what Troy mentioned there, that you can slide in McMillan at where Pop was, and you've got a better defender, rebounder, and shooter at that position. Now he can't handle the ball and get to the basket like Pop can, but I think if you bring in like a true point guard who's more efficient and can distribute the ball, that lineup looks better. And if you run some offense through Williams, I think it could make up for some of the offense and spacing that was created with Pop.
Yeah, there is a lot of different opportunities, and that's why I like what we have returning. There's a lot of versatility in what we can do, especially with spacing the floor as well, like you guys have mentioned. We just got to get some big players and replace what's gone. But guys, we'll go ahead and move on to some college basketball that's actually still going on. We've reached the Final Four, and to start, we have Purdue, NC State. Which, guys, with Purdue, I'll throw it to you, Troy. Is Edey? Can you guard Edey? Do the refs allow you to guard Edey?
Can you guard Burns? I mean, can you guard either of those guys? They both will bang it down low, and I'm curious of how the whistle is going to be. Are they going to swallow it and let those two guys go after each other? And by going after each other, they may just stay on the offensive side of the ball and play 4-on-4 the entire time. I don't know, because I know both of them don't get up and down the court with the best of them. But I do think it's very difficult to guard Edey. I mean, how many points did he have in the last game? Like, he had 20 rebounds.
He dropped 40.
Right?
Yeah.
40 burger. Like,
I think he had 22 free throws,
and he's averaging like 30 points in the NCAA tournament. So it's hard to say that you can stop him, and I guess you just have to make sure they're not shooting the ball well, which obviously they're a very good shooting team as well.
Yeah, and Dallas, with all this talk about how the refs are calling Zach Edey, do you think that's going to affect how this Final Four game is played? Do you think the refs are going to be keeping a closer eye on that to try to sway the public opinion?
I'd be curious because, I mean, him and Burns both are really aggressive and physical in the post. I actually, it's Burns, he doesn't play a ton of minutes just because he gets pretty gassed pretty quickly. But I think he'll be able to guard Edey pretty well just because, Edey's entire offense is reliant on just backing a guy down as close to the rim as possible and then shooting over him. And I mean, Burns was listed at 275. That guy's 350 pounds. So I think he can put a forearm in the back of Edey and keep him away from the basket well enough. I think it's going to come down to the guys around those two because I think they'll probably have pretty similar games.
Yeah, and I think it'll be fun to watch. Good old physical game down low. It's not too often you see that nowadays in basketball, so that might be fun to keep an eye on. But on the other side, you guys have talked about Burns and NC State, an 11 seed making the Final Four. Troy, does it hurt a little bit knowing that could be Texas Tech in that spot if we just beat them?
Yeah, we say that, but who knows? You still got to win those games, and it does when you look at the teams that they played. But that doesn't diminish anything that NC State's done. I mean, they've really turned it around at the right time. It's the old adage of like, you played the 5 games in your tournament. Are you going to be tired? And no, they just rolled on with the momentum and have kind of rolled through and have played fairly confident. But I mean, it's
a long adage.
Sorry.
Let me ask you all this: if which would be worse, losing to NC State in the first round, them having to go to the Final Four, or beating NC State and then losing to Oakland?
I would rather have won, because if we lost to Oakland, then we would lose to Golke in that fun story. So at least,
Yeah, but they're not going to go to the Final Four, right? Like you get.
Who knows? Golke gets hot after 2 games. Oh God.
No,
I don't know.
I agree. I think NC State was the better of the 2 routes. I mean,
well, because it happened.
It would have been tough to watch us lose to Golke by 3s, especially one of the things that is the most frustrating is when like Middlebrooks drops 22 on you. Like, and Golke can score that many points, but it's just the guy having his career night against you, and it's just like, if we would just held this guy to his season totals, we would have won. And so that's
we made a lot of big men look really good this year.
Yeah.
Yeah.
The other guy, DJ Horn, my goodness, that guy is an electric factory too.
Oh yeah, he's been very fun to watch. I mean, this team's been very fun to watch, and as Troy said with the old adage earlier of doing 100 different things and trying to put it together in a sentence, um, getting hot at the right
Classic.
time.
I
I
couldn't
mean,
bring that one back together.
it's just, I mean, it's the hottest team coming into the tournament, right? That's why you want to get on fire. I mean, you can't be hotter than having to win the 5 games to make the tournament. So they really did take that momentum into the tournament and have done well with it. But for the other game, guys, UConn versus Bama. Now, I bring this up thinking that we're probably all on the same side on this one and in alignment here. UConn's too good, right, Dallas?
Yeah, I mean, and you know I hate Bama, so I'm not going to give them any credit. I wonder what they've probably already set a record for most like 20-point wins in back-to-back NCAA tournaments or whatever. That
Mm-hmm.
because the run they're on right now is ridiculous. And going up against a team that doesn't believe that defense is even played in basketball, I don't see how Alabama even has a chance.
Yeah, I agree. And I've been saying it all tournament wrong, and I've been losing on it. But, Troy, at some point, it has to matter that Alabama doesn't play defense, right?
Yeah, it probably happens here. I mean, that's exactly where it's going to happen. I don't know. It was kind of how we thought we were going to have to get to the finals, right? It just 3-point shoot people to death. And obviously we have a lot of shooters, and I guess it's opposite ends of the spectrum. It didn't work for us, and it's worked for this team all along. And so, I mean, unless they can make that math work out, yeah, I think not playing defense isn't going to work out for him this time.
Yeah, it'll bite him. But yeah, guys, with these final four left, Dallas, quickly, who do you think's going to win it all?
UConn.
Yeah, Troy.
I'm curious what you would think on the Edie matchup if they play UConn. Because
Yeah, I still think.
What's UConn's big name? He's a skinny dude.
He's a skinny dude, but isn't he a lottery pick?
I mean, UConn's just too good. I mean, at the end of the day, they're just too talented. Nothing's going to stop them. The refs will probably get in Purdue's way this time because of all the talk that's been around him. So we'll see.
Yeah.
Watch, NC State will win the whole thing, and then I'll really be depressed. Troy,
I mean,
UConn
at
as
that
well.
point, like it's Team of Destiny, and you're just one of the
Jesus.
teams that was in the way.
Yeah, I think don't let NC State win this game.
No, Jesus.
Yeah, don't let them win this one, because if you let them get to the national championship, they'll probably win that one too. But
there you go.
I do think, yeah,
Put him to bed tonight.
I do think, yeah, put them to bed. Don't let us get that one. I do think it's UConn's to lose, though.
Yeah. All right, guys. So we'll move on to this last topic. Little off the beaten path here, but guys, it's solar eclipse season. Not often you get to say that, right? So we have a solar eclipse coming, and guys, living in Texas, we have the fortune of having a great viewing experience potentially in the hill country. There are a lot of people that are going to come from out of town to try to go towards the hill country to get great views of the eclipse. Troy, I'll start with you. What's your viewing experience going to look like?
Yeah, I'll probably work from home in the morning and catch it and see what that's all about. And I catch it from my front lawn with no glasses.
There you go. Hey, put your glasses on. You got to practice, safe practices there. Don't hurt yourself. Dallas, what's the significance of this eclipse?
How much time you got?
Dallas, I have all the time in the world for you.
Okay, so what day is solar eclipse day? It's April 8th, right? So
Go on.
408. 408.
Okay.
What is that divided by 2? 204. 204 days from today will be October 29th. You know what significance October 29th holds?
I'm going to guess there's a sporting event for the Red Raiders.
No, Tech doesn't play on that day, but close. It's the 303rd day of the year. So, according to tinyrituals.com, 303 is an angel number, which means
Well,
the
a great
angel
band too.
number. What's that?
A great band as well.
Yeah. That now is the time for peace and prosperity. Beyond this sequence comes deep symbolism of peace and a promise that faith and forgiveness and stepping forward into the light, all of these things will carry you to a positive place. Now, what's the significance of that?
Wait, Dallas, was that the tinyrituals.com?
That's the tinyrituals.com. They are
Okay.
the website to go to for tiny rituals.
Okay, good.
I
I'll just
think
make
this
the switch.
symbolizes the end of all of our trials and tribulations as Tech fans.
Dallas, are you talking about the world's end?
This does sound like the world's end.
It's the world's end for the rest of the Big 12 because Texas Tech is coming. Peace and prosperity for this football program is coming. That October 29th, 2 days after TCU, we play in Fort Worth, TCU, where the solar eclipse will be happening, where I will be viewing it from my back porch. And we're going to black out the sky with tortillas in Fort Worth.
Dear God.
So, there you
408
go.
of them.
Exactly. So that's what it means if you're a Tech fan. Now looking around the rest of college football, do you know when the last time the solar eclipse made a similar path across Texas and North America? It was
No, I don't, Dallas.
1878. I'll tell you, Dylan. Do you know which two colleges were founded in 1878? Virginia
Give it to me.
Tech and Mississippi State. Take the odds on Virginia Tech and Mississippi State, parlay them to win their conferences, respectively. Enter Sandman is back. Get your cowbells. They're both winning the SEC and the ACC.
You heard it here first, guys.
Mississippi
Virginia
State.
Tech, Mississippi State, locks. Man, thank God we have an Eclipse aficionado in this group. You guys can't get any better, I guess, Eclipse talk, Eclipse research than you get from here. Okay, Dallas. I mean, I can't run fast enough to place that bet. I mean, it's free money. All right. Well, thank you, Dallas. Shout out Tiny Rituals. This podcast today is brought to you by tinyrituals.com, the one and only place for any rituals of minimal sizes. So please get your tiny rituals at tinyrituals.com. But guys, I'm still a little mind blown from all that, so I'm trying to gather my thoughts here. I wanted to use this solar eclipse event as a fun little segue and tie it into sports. So what I had brought up to you guys earlier was, let's talk about the greatest moments that were eclipsed, like that, or overshadowed by another great moment. So what does that mean? I'll go ahead and give one right off the bat so we kind of all understand. The one that first came to mind for me was Marcus Page for North Carolina hit a double pump, three in midair, right? To tie the game against Villanova with 4 seconds left in the 2016 national championship. Nobody remembers that moment because right after that, Chris Jenkins hit a three at the buzzer from very deep to win the national championship. I'll throw it over to you, Troy. What's one of your greatest sports eclipse moments?
I was brushing up on my 1878 history, and I'm just not very blown away by anything. But anyway, I'll throw one out there. One of my favorite receivers all time, Larry Fitzgerald, having that 40-yard touchdown to then be toe-tapped by Santonio Holmes in the Super Bowl.
Man, that is definitely a very good one. I don't know, Dallas, if you even had any after doing all your research for your Eclipse statistics and best bets.
Well, I know you brought up a few before we did the podcast. I did spend all my time doing research on the historical significance of the eclipse and trying to help out our viewers on how to make money off of the eclipse. But you mentioned one, the Tennessee Hail Mary against Georgia, from Josh Dobbs, Juwan Jennings. That one stands out as
Mhm.
overshadowing the touchdown previous by Georgia. I'm not gonna bring up the Spurs one because that's painful for me, but
Yeah, that is
if
true. I did happen
if
to
you're a
bring up
Spurs fan,
yeah, Dallas is a big Spurs fan, and I did happen to bring up Tim Duncan. He hit a fadeaway from almost, it was like 2 steps in the inside the 3-point line to take a 72-73 lead. Imagine a score being that in the fourth quarter now against the Lakers with 0.4 of a second left, only to be overshadowed by, of course, the Derek Fisher shot with 0.4 seconds. Troy, you got another one?
Yeah, I will go with Tom Brady throwing 505 yards in the Super Bowl in a losing effort to Nick Foles.
There you go. There you go. I'll give a couple more just because I had a lot of fun doing this. But of course, Javon Curse catching a ball on his back in the Super Bowl that was tipped around just to be overshadowed by Malcolm Butler getting an interception to win it. You got Julio Jones's toe tap catch. As you can tell, maybe I like the Patriots because there's a lot of these. To be overshadowed by an Edelman catch and blowing a 28-3 lead in the Super Bowl. The biggest one, though, that I wanted to bring up, this is my favorite one, guys. Maybe, hopefully, everyone can follow along here. But you had a crazy, erratic closer coming out of the bullpen named Ricky Vaughn in the 9th inning with the bases loaded, 2 outs, a 2-2 game in a 1-game playoff to make it to the ALCS. And guys, he had to go against the Triple Crown winner in Clue Haywood, who was hitting 341 that year with 48 home runs and 121 RBIs. Not to mention, this guy was 2 for 2 against Ricky Vaughn with 2 home runs. So you're already thinking this manager's an idiot. Why the heck is he putting Ricky Vaughn in? Well, he put Ricky Vaughn in because he believed in Ricky Vaughn, and he knew it was that time for Ricky Vaughn to show what he got. And he had new glasses on that really intimidated everybody. Well, what did
Dylan, they
Ricky
should
Vaughn
make this a
do?
movie.
Oh, Dallas. They did. It's called Major League. Ricky Vaughn, 3 straight heaters, struck out Clue Haywood. But we don't talk about that often because we had old Jake Taylor, the catcher, come up to bat in the bottom half of the inning and point all the way to the bleachers saying he was going to hit a home run. And then for some reason, the slowest player on the team drops a drag bunt down the third baseline and legs it out for an infield single, somehow scoring Willie Mays Hayes all the way from second base on the play to make it to the ALCS. Guys, talk about a crazy moment, right?
Yeah,
Shout out.
all-timer.
Hey, and this is brought to you by the movie Major League. Please, please go out and see the movie Major League. It was made in 1989, so probably not in theaters, but make it a point to buy that movie. One of the greatest viewing experiences you'll ever have. But guys,
Dylan, we did have one that our brother Nick wanted us to say. Nick can't be with us tonight. He's in the hospital. But he wanted to say, never forget the Knicks versus Houston, Hakeem Olajuwon, and Patrick Ewing's epic battle to be overshadowed by O.J. Simpson's Bronco chase.
Yeah, I think there were about 4 events that day that were overshadowed by OJ's Bronco chase. There was golf on that day. I mean,
and that
it was baseball, I think.
Bronco.
Yeah. This is brought to you by the Ford Bronco. Broncos. Not OJ's vehicle anymore. I don't think they want that association.
They should lean in.
But guys, Thank you guys for joining us though today. I had a lot of fun with our Eclipse talk. I feel like I've learned more about eclipses than I thought I would ever know. Thank you, Dallas, for that.
You're welcome.
And guys, as always, thank you all for watching. And please like and subscribe. We are across all socials, Tech and Tortillas. Again, that's Tech letter N Tortillas. Please follow us, like, subscribe. Guys, as always, guns up.